The San Francisco 49ers 7-4 going into Week 12 in Week 11. Yesterday in Arizona, as Niner fans took over the building, San Francisco taking down the Cardinals 41-22 in dominant fashion. This is the San Francisco 49ers Report. My name is Chase Sr., and it's a Victory Monday here on the show. If you're pumped up about that Niners win, I want you to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video to celebrate that dub. And let's recap everything right now. So you start the week on a high note if you're a Niner fan. For this football team, it was a big win and a gotta-have-it spot, especially with what happened in front of the Niners going into Sunday in the NFC playoff picture. Now, exiting Sunday, going into this week, you look at the NFC playoff picture right now, the Niners are back in it. San Francisco going into yesterday's action, they were the 8th seed in the NFC. But because Detroit lost on Sunday Night Football to the Philadelphia Eagles, Detroit out of the playoff race right now, and the Niners move up to that 7th spot. And everything is very closely tied here in the NFC. Eagles have the number 1 seed at 8-2. They have a 52% chance to get home field advantage according to the New York Times model. The Rams, after beating Seattle in that wild game, move up to the 2 spot. The Bears, cardiac Chicago, they move up to the number 3 seed. They've had so many nutty last-second victories. The Buccaneers have been struggling of late. They're barely holding on in the NFC South. They drop to that 4 seed. And then the 3 wildcard teams. Seahawks at 7-3, Packers at 6-3-1, and the Niners there at 7-4. And some takeaways that I have from this Niners-Cardinals game. Welcome back, Brock Purdy. Had not played since week 4, and I thought yesterday, all things considered, he played a very efficient ball game. 19-26, 200 yards, yards per completion at 10.5, made some really nice throws downfield. He accounted for 3 touchdowns, no picks, 1 in the air to Christian McCaffrey, 2 in the air to George Kittle, and his quarterback rating, 133.5. He looked like the Brock Purdy that we've been accustomed to seeing. And I passed along my thoughts on Purdy this morning. There are different ways to play the quarterback position. And since Purdy came into the league in 2022, I noticed this right away. And I've always found him very enjoyable to watch because Brock Purdy is not the biggest guy in stature. He doesn't have the strongest arm, but he's so smart. He anticipates and processes so well, and he throws with great touch. And a positive development in that game on Sunday against Arizona is the fact that Purdy moved around pretty well. When he came back in week 4, he didn't move well against Jacksonville. That led to a lot of overthrows, and he couldn't create out of structure. I thought that he moved around well on that bad toe yesterday against Arizona, and I imagine he's only going to continue to get better. Did get a little bit risky on some throws downfield. He put it up for grabs. The analytical nerds are going to love pointing out that Purdy threw some interceptable passes, but the big takeaway, how efficient he was, how accurate he was. There was some velo behind the ball, although at times I did think he sailed it. Probably still a little hesitant on that bad foot, but for the most part, he moved around well. I like the athleticism and the mobility. There were some times where I was like, throw it away. Don't take a hit. But obviously, Purdy is a big competitor, and there wasn't a ton of rust that he had to shake off. I thought that Purdy was very sharp in that game as well. Number 2, the Niners badly needed an offensive explosion, and they got it yesterday. And this is a really good start for Kyle Shanahan's offensive unit. What did I say all last week? That this Niners offense getting healthy, given that it's Kyle Shanahan's specialty, with how this defense is young, hurt, and not that good, is going to have to carry this team. And this offense was able to carry this ball club yesterday. Obviously, the defense made some big plays, but the offense did a majority of the carrying of the load. Now, you look at some of the overall numbers, they put up 281 yards of total offense, but 5.4 yards per play. Very efficient in throwing the ball. On the ground, not unbelievable production, right? 25 carries for 95 yards, but good enough. And in the first half, it really helped to set the tone, and they were better in that first half as far as yards per carry. did not turn it over once. That was huge. And you saw some playmakers come alive. I think this is because Brock Purdy was back in there. He has had an unbelievable rapport with George Kittle since they started linking up in Purdy's rookie year in 2022. Kittle targeted 6 times, caught all 6 of his targets for 67 yards. The beautiful 30-yard dime ball right in stride to Kittle was a great play design, a great throw, and a good catch as Kittle had to chase that football down. And then the other touchdown that Kittle had, he got open toward that goal line back corner, Purdy able to loft it to him. And then Christian McCaffrey, we know that he's played really well when Purdy has been his quarterback. There was one moment where Purdy made a big play and McCaffrey came to the sideline. He was pointing to his helmet, looking at Purdy, and that was a telltale sign that Purdy saw something, and he was able to find CMC on that receiving touchdown. For McCaffrey, once again doing it in an all-purpose fashion, 81 rushing yards, 40 receiving yards, 121 all-purpose yards, and 3 total touchdowns. He continues to have a really special season. This was also a very well-rounded win for the Niners. They got contributions from everywhere. The star players and highly paid players on offense. On defense, they were able to generate 3 turnovers. And on special teams, right from the start of this game, literally the first overall play of the game, special teams able to come through. Skyy Moore had been so close to breaking a long return. I had talked about that on the show last week. He had gotten so close a couple of times. A shoestring tackle here, an ankle tackle there, and then yesterday, the dam finally broke, and he was able to break that 98-yard kickoff return to begin the game that established the momentum. Niners able to make a statement, and the following play after the Skyy Moore return, Christian McCaffrey touchdown. Brian Robinson, later in the game, able to put together a 40-plus yard kickoff return. So offense, defense, special teams, really good contributing members of this football team chiming in for this victory. Today's 49ers Report is sponsored by our friends at PrizePicks, the #1 daily fantasy sports app in the game. The hard-hitting football action, even better with PrizePicks. The weather might be changing, but the feeling of being right never gets old. So keep the season rolling on PrizePicks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. PrizePicks is simple to play. Just pick more or less on at least 2 player stats. If you get your picks right, you could cash in. And it's the best way to win cash this football season. Which players are going off? Which ones are overhyped? Who's going to rise up? Who's going to flop? Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your takes into cash all season long on PrizePicks. 2-pick power play for Monday Night Football. Raiders, Cowboys, Ashton Genty, more than a half rushing or receiving touchdown. CeeDee Lamb, more than a half rushing or receiving touchdown. Both players got to find the paint. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use the code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. Robert Saleh continues to do a really good job of making chicken salad out of chicken shit this year. So many injuries on that side of the ball, especially to star-level players like Nick Bosa and Fred Warner. He's had to play a lot of young players and had to play a lot of backups who have been thrust into bigger roles than what the Niners had anticipated. One thing the Niners haven't been able to do a good job of, outside of consistently getting after the quarterback and at times struggling against the run, is forcing turnovers. Well, yesterday, the Niners able to generate 3 turnovers, and that was huge. Able to win the turnover battle 3-0, and you win the turnover battle at the NFL level, you win nearly 80% of the time. Malik Mustafa pick, good for him to get on the board. Holding up in coverage, he struggled there this year. Deommodore Lenoir, a pick and nearly brought it back to the crib. And how about that play along the goal line where Keon White recovered that fumble, Curtis Robinson screaming over to help dislodge the football? That was a high-level defensive play. And the Niners need these types of moments. They need these types of well-rounded contributions because they are so shorthanded. Now, a lot of people will say, and I've seen some people on YouTube and on my social media pages saying, Chase, come on now. This Niners team, they got carved up. It was a little bit of a mixed bag for this Niners defense, no doubt about it. But when you go up by 2 touchdowns in a blink to start the game, you know what you force the other team to do? Throw the ball. You're not going to run it when you're down so much because the clock is not on your side and you need to play catch up. And so that's part of the reason why the Cardinals had so many passing yards and so many passing attempts. And so that's also why these numbers are a little bit tilted. The Niners did give up 488 yards of offense. That's a lot. They did give up 6.9 yards per play. But again, Cardinals had to throw it to play catch up, but the Niners aren't going to play an aggressive style of defense when they're up. They're going to play a more conservative style of defense. Jacoby Brissett did drop back 57 times. He threw for 452 yards. But the Niners' run defense, this was a big positive. They were not good against the Rams. They were excellent against the Cardinals. Now, the Cardinals' running backs are not that good. They're all backup caliber players. But 14 carries for 36 yards, 2.6 yards per pop, that's really good. You get the 2 picks. You force the fumble. Arizona 1 time of possession. But again, sometimes that's going to happen when you're scoring quickly and you go up so much. I will say this. Some are saying after the 49ers took down the Arizona Cardinals that this Niners defense is back. They were really good against the run. They gave up less than 3 yards per carry. That's what we can expect from Robert Saleh's defense the rest of the year. I'll give credit where credit is due. What Saleh is doing with the lack of parts is really incredible this season. It's a great example of a phenomenal coaching job. Were the Niners better against the run? No doubt about it. Is this Niners defense back? I don't think so. I still think they're going to struggle for the rest of the year. Why? Because San Francisco still cannot generate a pass rush. This is why I wanted the Niners to make a move at the deadline, because they badly need pass rushers. To put this in perspective, Jacoby Brissett dropped back 57 times on Sunday. The Niners had just 13 pressures, and they did not sack him once against really good offenses that will not translate to good performances and wins. What the Niners did, positive step in the right direction, but the lack of pass rush is still very alarming. Lastly, I like what the Niners did on offense. It was great to see them stop the run. You got some good plays with that special teams unit in the third phase of the game. The penalties did help out the Niners a little bit. It was laugh out loud bad how undisciplined the Cardinals were, how messy they were, how undisciplined and unprepared they were. Arizona had 17 penalties for 130 yards. If I was a Cardinals fan at that game, I would have crashed out. First of all, Niner fans took over the joint. They made it a home game for the Niners. Arizona had to go silent count. Second of all, they kept shooting themselves in the foot. Another reason why Arizona had to throw it so much is because it was second and long, third and long so often. You're not going to run it when the down and distance is that. But Jonathan Gannon's team was messy. 17 penalties for that much penalty yardage. That's crazy, and obviously that did benefit the Niners too. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I'll be back with another show a little bit later. This is the 49ers Report. I'm Chase Sr. We out.